And welcome back, everybody. It's me from the future, here to talk about Litecoin. We have Litecoin at $96.34. We've been hovering just under that $100 mark for a couple of days now. The date is Saturday, April 15th, 2023. So let's take a look at where the price might be going in the short term, and also look at the midterm and macro view, where we could go into that next bull run. We're still hovering up in the upper range of the Bollinger Band, so this is bullish. To me, we definitely see a bullish posture here with the Litecoin price. The momentum is definitely up, but that does not mean we won't start finding our way back down at some point very soon. The 50-week moving average is starting to arch back up, which is also fairly bullish, but we're still in a downward momentum. Then we've got the 200-week moving average, which we are finding lots of resistance. We are continuing to fail to move above that 200-week. We did try and make it over into the about $104, $105, but quickly found our way back down below, and we've been underneath ever since. So again, we need to find our way above that 200-week moving average, that simple moving average. And then we have the 100-week really still coming down. Over the next weeks to come, it's going to cross over that 200-week, but for now we still are pinned underneath that 200-week. Okay, so let's take a look at some trend lines and just kind of really analyze the price here again from more of a macro view. Let's look at the history here. We can go all the way back to 2017 and beyond with that previous bull run, that previous midterm bull run. We are in that process of possibly, as mentioned in our previous conversations, possibly in the midst of this midterm baby bull run. We did note that we came down after that rejection on the 200-week, found support, bounced back up, which is exactly what we did here. So if we were mirroring this 2019 baby bull run move, we would find ourselves continuing up here and then crashing back down into the halving, just like we did back in 2019. Okay, let's take a look at the Fibonacci retracements. I'm going to go from our high to our low. I'm going to extrapolate that out and look at that. It looks like that 0.236 Fibonacci retracement is lining up nicely with the 200-week SMA, and that's where we're finding our resistance. It makes a lot of sense. And that falls, again, right around $100, $102. If we found ourselves moving up and out, if we do find ourselves breaking through, we could reach up to $140 plus. However, I do think that that would result in a movement quickly back down into the halving. This green line here is our halving. So very important to note that we always crash into the halvings. Every halving Litecoin has had, we've moved up and crashed into the halving. Okay, so what are the low numbers here that we could reach? We could reach all the way back down at $50 into the end of the summer or lower. Let's theorize on what this could look like moving into the future. So we have a representation of each of the halvings back from 2015 to the 2019 halving to the 2023 halving, which is coming up soon in August. August 2nd is the projected date. And we're also looking even further into the future at the 2027 halving, and I'll tell you why. What I'd like to do is look at these two fractal sets that are within each of these two halvings. I'm going to take a snapshot with the bars tool from one start of this halving in 2015 all the way to the end. That's 4 years, just like Bitcoin. Let's take that and let's move it into this next halving phase. Since we do have a halving coming up again in August 2nd, 2023, that's this line. And what I just did was moved over a fractal and moved it over into this next halving phase. And I'll tell you why I did that. Again, these are repeating fractals. So why did I not take the most recent fractal that occurred in 2019 into 2023? The one that we're currently in. Well, number one, it's not finished. But number two, if you look at the previous halving back from 2015 all the way up to 2019, what I noticed here is that this is essentially a mirror. What we had that happened in 2017 was the reverse, like a mirror in 2022, 2021, that peak. If you notice, let's look a little closer here. So I had the quick move up, and then one, two, three, four, and down. And then we had this midterm baby bull run. What we had in 2021 and 2022 was the same thing again, but in reverse, with 1, 2, 3, and 4. So literally like a mirror. If this was a mirror, if the halving itself was a mirror, it's literally going to be a duplication of the two. So for this, I'm theorizing that perhaps this will repeat, this fractal will be more likely to repeat over here in this next 4-year cycle that begins in a couple of months here, August 2nd. So leading into the 2015 halving, you'll notice there was a couple of spikes, and the price, of course, just ended up crashing down into the halving, okay? And look what we did, we flatlined. There was a couple little speed bumps along the way, but we literally flatlined, like there was some kind of crazy support there, okay? Flat. From August 2015 all the way to March 2017. So, geez, over a year and a half, straight flat. So if we are mimicking what happened in that 2017 fractal, it's going to look more like this. Now, why do I also point this out? This move here in our current bull run to bear market is just the second move. So it's almost like there's an 8-year cycle where we have this massive move, dramatically increasing from the previous, dramatically increasing. And then falling in, mirroring itself, again, same price point 4 years later, and then coming down. But this time, my theory is that we're going to have a really big bull run again, similar to that 2015 to 2017 run, okay? With that flat line and the big move. Where does that come up to? $900 roughly. That's a pretty nice size move. But what is it going to look like from now, the current moment, to the halving? So let's theorize. We are currently at that resistance. We talked about the 200 week holding us back. We've got some additional resistance from above. It's highly likely that that 100 week comes down and pushes us down with it. Highly likely. However, there's still some time, because in the past, we always run up right before the halving, and then crash into it. So we do have some room to run back up. And perhaps it could be to that $140, $150 range where we had the Fibonacci retracement. Okay, that's a possibility too. So let's draw that one out. We could break out, come up to that $140, $150 range, crash into the halving. But steep crash into the halving, just like we did here. You see how we did that? Now, I'm just assuming that we would come down and fall in this lower trend line. We'll just kind of zoom in on it a little bit. Right, come in, crash into the halving, and then we kind of flatline a little bit. Flatline a little bit. Let's move this around a little. So something like that. It's better, right? Just like we did back here, remember? Came back down, crashed into the halving, flatlined. Okay, and then we hit the same trend line, the one we're talking about right here. Perhaps this same scenario could happen again in this 8-year double cycle, or we could do something further. We could come all the way down and break below directly to that purple trend line, that same trend line that we talked about, and then go flat, which would take us to this next level lower trend line, which is around $50. And thirdly, we could come all the way down to our lowest trend line, where we have history back here, March 2020, December 2018. After the crashes that happened, we could come all the way down to here and then flatline, something like this. So those are your options. But again, you notice how we drew this fractal. We have an upper resistance back here that touches the top of the 2013 peak, the green portion of the top on the 2017 peak. And then of course, that same trajectory moves up to that $900 plus mark for a possible peak. And the date of that would be roughly November, December of 2025. And that coincides with the tops of the Bitcoin peaks as well. And again, 4 years in between each of those. I can go from the 2013 peak over to the 2017 peak, roughly, it's 1,477 days, something like that. It's about 4 years. And if I did that from the 2017 peak all the way over to the secondary peak, which is 1,449 days, 4 years. And remember, we're mirroring what happened in 2017 in reverse. Now, if I go 4 years out from that secondary peak to this next peak in 2025, what do you know? 1,477 days. Always 4 years between each peak, always 4 years between each halving. 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, and 4 years. And guess what we do when we copied this 4-year stretch back in 2015 to 2019 and placed it here in the upcoming 4-year cycle? It sets us up nicely for that midterm peak that crashes into the halving. So really interesting stuff here. So again, it was very odd to me to see Litecoin literally just go up and essentially match the previous bull run top of 2017 to 2021. Is about the same. There's a few bucks difference, somewhere in the $400 range. Now, it makes sense to me to continue this upward trajectory into this next bull run and hit something like a 900, doubling what it did, at least doubling. Because remember, Litecoin is in pretty much every exchange. It's on platforms like PayPal, you name it. Anywhere that has crypto for the general public, Litecoin is there. Grayscale has Bitcoin and Ethereum trust, and also a Litecoin trust. Again, Litecoin's a big deal here. Let's measure what this could look like if we went down to this lowest support, down at around $36, $38, and all the way up to something like $926, 2,292% move up. Beautiful, beautiful. That's what we want. Mind you, if we did that low and just went up to the old previous high, that's 1,000% move up. The probabilities of us hitting these lows is extremely high. So we have some type of range that's in that, $55 range all the way down to like a $35 range, 55 to 35. That's our low zone. And again, looking at these previous fractals, as always, this movement is highly probable. Okay. However it gets there, that's another story. So again, these zones are all valid. $55 to $35. Okay. Okay, so I think that does it for this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please, please, please like and subscribe. We're still a brand new channel. I think we've only been around for a month and a half right now. So we're building our own Litecoin family here. We trade not only Litecoin, but we have 5 focused cryptos, and that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano ADA, and of course Doge. Don't forget to buy low, sell high, and never sell at a loss. Have a great one, everybody.